Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably already know what an iceberg chart is. Today I will be explaining the Weezer Iceberg chart, created by user Winterfall64, which is posted to r/Weezer during June of 2020. Some additional items were added to this iceberg, as I believe that they were important parts of the Weezer conspiracy that were left out. Songs from the Black Hole. Songs from the Black Hole was a planned Weezer album that was going to be a space opera about some guy named Jonas who gets sent into space with a bunch of other people to stop a system's sun from exploding. The album was scrapped in 1995 and Rivers Cuomo moved on to write Pinkerton. A few of the tracks from Songs from the Black Hole were used for Pinkerton, like Why Bother and Tired of Sex. Blastoff's guitar riff was later reworked into El Scorcho. Kitchen Tapes. The Kitchen Tapes were a series of demos recorded by Weezer in 1992. Kitchen Tapes includes early versions of Blue Album tracks like My Name is Jonas and Say It Ain't So, as well as some unreleased tracks like Let's Sew Our Pants Together and Thief, You've Taken All That Was Me. The demos in their entirety surfaced online circa 2016 when some dedicated fans purchased one of the copies of the Kitchen Tapes online. Man, imagine being a dedicated Weezer fan, that must suck. Early Album 5, Homecoming. Early Album 5 is a collection of demos recorded by Weezer during the recording of Maladroit in 2002. Many of these songs never saw proper releases, except for the ones that were later reworked into tracks for Make Believe. Summer Songs of 2000. Summer Songs of 2000, or SS2K, is a collection of songs that were only played live during Vans Warped Tour 2000. Some of these tracks were recorded during the Album 5 sessions, and many of the songs never saw the light of day again. Midnight Acoustic Version. Midnight, also known as Cardigan Disaster, was an unreleased Black Album track. Its most well-known iteration is an acoustic version played by Rivers Cuomo during his San Francisco show, An Evening with Rivers Cuomo, in 2018. Midnight Studio Version. The aforementioned track, Midnight, or Cardigan Disaster, actually had a studio version, but it was never formally released because of the popularity of Weezer's Africa cover. Hurley was going to be self-titled. According to Cuomo, in an interview with Spinner.com, Hurley went through several different names throughout the recording process, but for a while the album was untitled. Cuomo didn't want it to be a self-titled album because he knew people would refer to it as the Hurley record, even if he had left it without a title. The album was named Hurley, and the rest is history. Ecce Homo. Ecce Homo is a collection of demos written by Rivers Cuomo in 2011. Several of the tracks ended up on the album Everything Will Be Alright in the End, and the track Everybody Needs Salvation became a fan club exclusive single. Homie Studio Recordings. Homie was a side project from Rivers Cuomo and Matt Sharp that started in 1997. The group recorded a full album, but the recordings were destroyed when the recording studio, Fort Apache, closed down. Anonymous 6-minute version. Anonymous is part 2 of the Futurescope trilogy, the closing tracks of Weezer's Everything Will Be Alright in the End album. According to those who attend listening parties for the album, Anonymous was originally a 6-minute long epic, but was later trimmed down to 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The full early mix of the song was leaked onto the internet in 2017. Sea Opera. Sea Opera is a supposed concept album that was being worked on by Rivers Cuomo in 2011. One of the tracks, Ballad of the Bryony, had some striking resemblances to Songs from the Black Hole, so many thought that Cuomo was making another concept album like Songs from the Black Hole. However, in a Riverpedia entry, Cuomo stated that there was no sea opera. 2001 Black Album. The Black Album 2001, not to be mistaken with the Black Album 2019, is a collection of demos recorded by Weezer in 2001. Many of the tracks on this demo album would later be re-recorded into 2002's Maladroit. Runner-Up. Runner-Up, also known as Fireball, is an unreleased demo recorded in 2015. Cuomo's description of the track, calling it Pinkerton-esque, has intrigued many fans. Sadly, Cuomo has not mentioned any plans to formally release it. Slurpee Album. Slurpee is a supposed collection of Weezer demos that were recorded anywhere from 2011 to 2014. not much is actually known about this one. Fallen Soldiers. Fallen Soldiers is the name for a group of songs recorded for Make Believe that never made the cut. A few of the songs, like Unbreak My Heart and Losing My Mind, were included on Death to False Metal, and Love Is the Answer was re-recorded for Ratitude. Buddy Holly and Undone. Two of Weezer's biggest hits, Buddy Holly and Undone the Sweater Song, may have hidden meanings. While Undone's lyrics may seem like nothing crazy on the surface, Cuomo has stated that it's a song about existential dread, comparing the song to the feeling you get when the train stops and the little guy comes knocking on your door. Buddy Holly may have a darker side too. Many speculate that the song is actually about the LA riots in 1992. This is because of the dark and grungy tone of the demo version of the song. This hasn't been confirmed yet. Close to Your Lips. Close to Your Lips is a song that was intended for Pacific Daydream, but has never been released. That's really all there is to it. Happy Together, 2002. In 2002, Weezer covered Happy Together, a song by the Turtles. It was intended for the Spike Jonze film adaptation. Jonze later decided on using the original song instead of the Weezer cover. However, the cover was later re-recorded for Weezer's cover album, The Teal Album. On the 8th of October 2011, former Weezer bassist Mikey Welsh passed away due to a suspected drug overdose. However, two suspicious tweets made by Welsh may suggest that his death was actually planned. On the 26th of September 2011, Welsh tweeted the following: "Dreamt I died in Chicago next weekend, heart attack in my sleep. Need to write my will today." He later added, "Correction, the weekend after next." The eerie accuracy of these tweets, in both time and location, has led many to believe that Mikey Welsh's death was less than an accident than was let on. Black Album 2016 to 2018 demos. Other than the previously mentioned demo song, Midnight, I couldn't find much on this. Rivers Cuomo is Kurt Cobain. As many of you may know, Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain took his own life in April 1994. However, many people speculate that Cobain faked his own death and became Rivers Cuomo. This theory could possibly be true for two reasons. The first being this chart that compares visual similarities between Cobain and Cuomo. The other thing being the fact that nobody's ever seen Cobain and Cuomo in the same room together. On February 2nd of 2021, Cuomo responded to the rumors on Rick Rubin's Broken Record podcast. He said that the theory was false, but Rubin and Cuomo decided to entertain the idea by doing a skit interview where Cuomo answered questions as if he was previously Kurt Cobain. Many people believe that Rivers may not have been lying while answering these questions, and that he was subtly letting the listeners in on the truth. The 18-year-old girl. In the 1996 song Across the Sea, an 18-year-old girl from Japan sent a letter to Rivers asking typical fan letter questions. Rivers, being the horny virgin he was in 1996, hopelessly falls in love with the girl despite never meeting her or even talking to her. We do know that the story is true and the girl is real because Cuomo once stated in an interview that the girl receives royalties for the song for direct quotes from her letter were used in the song. However, nobody's sure who the Across the Sea girl is or if she really was 18 at the time. Rivers' basement. Nobody actually knows what exists in Rivers Cuomo's basement, although some speculate that these three things are down there. Tom York, Brian Bell's pantyhose, and the entirety of the Black Parade on a floppy disk. Matt Sharp died and was replaced by a clone. In 1998, bassist Matt Sharp left Weezer in order to focus on his own project, The Rentals. However, many people believe that Matt Sharp was killed sometime in 1996, as he is not credited on Pinkerton. Unfortunately, this theory has been debunked because there is no Matt Sharp clone in the MTV cartoon series Clone High. Why Jason left. Before the release of the Blue Album, founding Weezer guitarist Jason Cropper left the band. Cropper claims that this is because his girlfriend became pregnant, so he left to take care of his new child. Several people think that Cropper was lying to us and that something of a larger scale was going on. There is a theory that Cropper was having an affair with drummer Patrick Wilson, and Rivers kicked him out of the band out of jealousy. Red Album Rivers Apparition. The Red Album Rivers apparition is an important part of the theory that every copy of Weezer's Red Album is personalized. The reason why the Red Album receives such mixed reviews is because the Red Album is different for everybody. Some claim that when listening to the Red Album, an apparition of Rivers Cuomo appeared before them. Flight Plans 2020 recording. Flight Plans was an unreleased song for Everything Will Be Alright in the End. Despite never making the album, clips of the song exist online. I couldn't find anything on a 2020 recording of the song though. Black Album 2001 was a lie. Despite Cuomo confirming the existence of the 2001 Black Album demos, many believe that they never really existed. In fact, if any of the demos were recorded in 2001, it couldn't be considered the Black Album as there was no official album art. Checkmate, atheists. Scott is a shapeshifter. There's a theory that the bassist of Weezer, Scott Schreiner, is actually a shapeshifter. This is because every time he is seen, he seems to be wearing different clothes. Normally, this would be impossible as bassists are known to only wear one set of clothes for their entire lives. Scott being able to change forms is the only plausible explanation. Weezer is an MK Ultra experiment. The MK Ultra project is a series of CIA tests in which they tested the extent to which one could use media and drugs to subliminally control a person's thoughts. Some examples of things that were related to the project are the psychedelic drug LSD, the arcade game Polybius, and the band Gorillaz. Many believe that Weezer is actually tied to the Project MK Ultra. This is because, according to a scientific study conducted in 1998, people who listened to a large amount of Weezer began experiencing similar symptoms from others who did the same, the most notable of these being hating women, actively logging the showers they take, and refusing to get laid. Van Weezer was never real. In 2019, Weezer announced a new album known as Van Weezer. In May of 2020, Weezer announced that Van Weezer would be delayed to May of 2021. However, the fact that we have only received 3 singles from the album in almost 2 years we have known about its existence has led many to believe that Van Weezer was never real to begin with. Several fans think that Van Weezer was nothing but a cruel joke. Brian psychologically manipulates Rivers. It is rumored that Brian Bell can manipulate Rivers to do his bidding. This is supported by this clip here of Rivers praising Brian seemingly out of nowhere.
Hi, I'm Rivers Cuomo, and I think that Brian Bell is super cool, awesome, and not psychologically manipulating me.
The reason why Brian Bell is doing this to Rivers is unknown. Maybe Rivers knows something that Brian doesn't want people to know. Perhaps Brian was having an affair with Patrick Wilson as well. Rivers stole the Blue Album from Pavement. On February 2nd, 1994, indie rock band Pavement released an album titled Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. Many speculate that Weezer's Blue Album, which released that same year, was actually stolen from Pavement. This is because one thing that both albums have in common is that they both have lyrics. No albums before Pavement's Crooked Rain have had lyrics, so the striking resemblance that the Blue Album bears with Crooked Rain has led many to believe that Rivers stole the idea of the Blue Album from Pavement. Brian and Rivers killed a man in 1994. Many people believe that Brian Bell and Rivers Cuomo are responsible for the murder of Cuomo's longtime friend, Billy John Armstrong, cousin of singer Billy Joe Armstrong, in 1994. After the completion of the Blue Album, Rivers threw a party at his trailer home in Beverly Hills. One of the guests, Billy John Armstrong, reportedly needed to use the restroom during the party, and due to the trailer home's lack of proper plumbing, Armstrong brought Cuomo and Bell to accompany him in the dark woods behind the trailer park. Unfortunately, Armstrong's precaution of using the buddy system proved to be fatal as he didn't return to the party with Cuomo and Bell. Bell claims that Armstrong was mauled by a bear, but many believe that Armstrong was murdered by Bell and Cuomo. If this is true, the two Weezer members have no known motivation. It is, however, possible that Armstrong was caught having an affair with drummer Patrick Wilson, as Wilson was the only Weezer member who didn't attend Armstrong's funeral. This incident may be the reason why Brian Bell is psychologically manipulating Rivers, as he doesn't want the truth to be revealed about what happened to Armstrong. Streaming services sending data to Crush. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything on this one. Crush Music and Atlantic Records would never steal our data, as the companies have never done anything nefarious throughout their existences. All hail our Crush overlords. Okay, I didn't tell him. Please let me see my family again. I miss them so much. The Blue Album was created by AI. Many fans believe that the critically acclaimed debut album of Weezer, known as the Blue Album, may have been created by AI. This is because it seems nearly impossible for humans to create such a stellar album. This theory has been disproven, as no AI are credited for the Blue Album. The Pinkerton Virgin Curse. The Pinkerton Virgin Curse is a theory that listening to Weezer's sophomore album, Pinkerton, will make you a virgin forever. According to my sources, the only way to break this curse is to listen to Imagine Dragons' entire discography. Nobody can resist someone who has listened to every Imagine Dragons song. Make Believe was recorded in 1994 in a different dimension. It is possible that, in a different dimension, Make Believe was Weezer's debut album and reached financial and critical success. In 2005, in an attempt to spend more time on the Red Album and its personalization algorithm, Weezer opened a dimensional gateway into the universe where an original Weezer album existed, known as Make Believe. Unfortunately, other than the hit single Beverly Hills, Make Believe was not well received in this dimension. That's because Make Believe was likely pulled from a dimension in which people have terrible taste in music. r/OK Buddy Holly, do not research. The popular forum website Reddit is home to a page known as r/OK Buddy Holly. The users of this forum are reported to practice odd behavior, such as logging their showers and creating several surreal and discomforting images involving Weezer. The phrase, just spamming bots, and this haunting image of what appears to be a balding Matt Watson are often used for reasons I am unsure of. I was unable to gather any more information on them, for they are too dangerous to observe further. Lizard clones. This theory states that in some point in 1997, the original members of Weezer were replaced with lizard clones. This is evident by the line in Say It Ain't So, which states, "Somebody's cold one is giving me chills." This is a reference to the fact that lizards are cold-blooded, so interacting with a cold beverage would lower Cuomo's blood temperature. Another coincidence that seems too coincidental to be merely a coincidence is that Weezer's Blue Album came out in 1994. Do you know what else came out in 1994? Gex for the PlayStation, which is a game that stars a wisecracking gecko. Weezer isn't real. It's as simple as it sounds. Weezer is not real. Weezer has never been real and will never be real. Weezer was all nothing but a bad dream. Wake up now. Wake up. Please, for us. It's been 20 years, your wife misses you. Please, wake up before it's too late.